Okay, hello everyone. My name is Jasmine Rahman. I'm a tax investigation expert, and last week I actually posted something on a letter that was issued by HMRC, whether it was an official compliance check opening letter or was it a phishing exercise being conducted by HMRC. Today, I thought in order to follow up, because this is what was requested for me, is to show how we can recognize it is an informal request and not an official compliance check. So the best way to do this is if I share my screen, like so. Let's put that there. And I've got the two letters side by side. This is an official compliance check letter or an official opening to a tax investigation. And this is the informal request that I submitted last week on LinkedIn. And as you can see, it starts out in the same way. You've got titled Check of the Compliance Tax Position for the period ending 31st of March 2019. And here it's in the period ended 31st of May 2019. And normally the company name would go here as well. I've deleted all confidential information. But then this is where it differs. Here they actually outline that this is a compliance check opening notice. They will tell you, HMRC will actually say this is a compliance check opening notice, and they will say under which legislation it's been issued, under paragraph 24 within bracket Schedule 18 of the Finance Act 1998. And if it was self-assessment, it would be para 9. I can't remember at the moment. But you can see the difference between here. They've actually it's got more information than normal, because they actually say when they've received the tax return, 27th of February 2020. Sorry, I deleted the year by in error, but it would say 2021, and it's within the 12-month inquiry window. If it was submitted late, then the inquiry window would actually extend to the next quarter ending. For example, 30th of April, and so on. Here, none of that is mentioned whatsoever. They've gone straight into why they think that it may be inaccurate. So he's saying, I believe that the company's self-assessment tax calculation for the above period is inaccurate. And here it's because of persistent losses declared by the company and companies within the group. This is information in the tax return. No third-party evidence or solid evidence has been provided. They haven't provided any legislation, because it's not actually enforceable by any tax legislation in this. And then the next step is they go into what happens now, where they're carrying out a check. And so it's already proceeding on quite an official process. Not at any time do they say that this is voluntarily done, or you can voluntarily cooperate with it. It's not an official request. You can see the whole manner in which the letter has been written is similar to the template for the official compliance check letter. You've got the deadline there when it should be submitted. The rest is more or less similar. What will happen if records held on the computer? And here, this is where the difference is, the main difference. And the first time they're actually asking or issuing the actual legislation that under what steps they would take next. And in this, it would be paragraph 41 within brackets 1, Schedule 18 of the Finance Act. And this is the provisions for the discovery assessment. And can I emphasize discovery assessment? There's no such thing as a discovery inquiry. The legislation only allows for if you've identified a loss of tax that ought to be additional tax liability that ought to be paid to HMRC, then a discovery assessment would be issued. But here it just says if the caseworker doesn't receive the information they've asked for, then they may issue an assessment for the tax they think is due. Again, these are all provisions that they need to satisfy. There's certain conditions they need to satisfy before they can even think of issuing a discovery assessment. And the other statement here is, I may send you a notice that legally requires the company to give me what I've asked for, which they don't actually refer to what kind of notice, but they're talking about the Schedule 36 notice. Again, they need to demonstrate that the information and documents is reasonably required. This is not a fishing exercise. They need to have definitive information that there is a loss of tax, and that the information and documents information they're requesting is reasonably required, which I can definitely say, having seen it, it was more than that was actually asked for this in this official compliance check letter. So I would definitely have said it was more than reasonably required and argued on that front, or disputed the requirements on that front. So again, you can see on the official one, it then goes about compliance checks and all the procedures that needs to be followed, the due diligence side of things, corresponding by HMRC email, and so on. Here, they've actually also referred to about compliance checks. Even though this is not an official compliance check, this letter is not issued under any legislation. It's purely an informal request. They're not transparent. They don't actually say that you can respond on a voluntary basis. It's just given this very officious impression or demand, and intimidating, because they're saying, what will happen if I don't get the information I've asked for? Well, we may make an assessment. And if a taxpayer or an accountant or agent who's not familiar with tax investigations and the legal requirements around it, they may just respond to it automatically, which is probably what HMRC wants. But at the end of the day, they're out of time. You know, they're not actually within the inquiry window, and they haven't actually evidenced the basis for discovery assessment. I hope this has been useful to you. If you want to ask any information, please do below in the comments. I'm happy to respond to them. I like it when you all engage with me. So thank you very much.